this quick video is going to go through the business model generation book that we've studied in Management 1000. We'll quickly go through each of the 4 portions of the book. First off, we'll start off by quickly explaining the 9 building blocks of the business canvas. The 9 building blocks of the business canvas consist of the key partners of a firm, the key activities of a firm, the key resources, cost structure, the value proposition, the revenue structure, stream, the channels, the customer relationships established, and the customer segments that this firm caters to. The building block of the business canvas is the key partners, the network of suppliers and partners that make the business model work. In our case, we're going to use Apple as our example, just like the book does. 2 examples of suppliers and partners that Apple is working with right now are Toshiba, the company that manufactures their RAM units for iPods, iPhones, and I believe computers, and Beats by Dre as a partner that creates music services and headphones. The second block of the business canvas is key activities. Key activities are the most important things a company does to make the business model work. In our example, Apple, 2 key activities that they would have is their customer support. So whether that's the post-purchase, you can call and ask any questions about your product, or the in-store Apple geniuses that are experts in every product that Apple supports. Their customer support is definitely a key activity that the company does in order to make their business model work. And the second thing would be their hardware. So the hardware that they manufacture needs to be retailed through stores, whether that's the Apple online store, Apple stores, or third-party stores such as Best Buy or Future Shop. That needs to happen in order for the business to be successful. Our next building block, we've got cost structures. And the textbook definition of cost structures is the costs incurred in operating a business. With our example with Apple, 2 would be the fixed costs of online server and online hosting required to run their websites, as well as salaries that each employee of Apple must be paid in order for them to do their job. The next building block on the business canvas would be the revenue streams. And the definition is the cash each customer segment generates. We'll speak about customer segments in a little bit. And 2 examples of that would be the 2 main revenue streams are the physical products that Apple sells, such as their iPods, their iPhones, and their computers, and their services, which are usually done through online, stuff like the iTunes Store, as well as Apple TV. The next building block on the business canvas is the customer segments. And the definition from the textbook is the groups of people an enterprise aims to reach. In Apple's case, they target a mass market of with both their physical products and their online services or physical services. However, specific examples of that mass market would be people who listen to, for example, hip-hop music, and with their physical products would be people who require a smartphone, period. Those would be 2 specific examples of the mass market that they cater to. All right, the next building block of our business model is our channels. And the channels are how value is delivered to each customer segment. When we talked about revenue streams, we mentioned that there is physical products that Apple offers as well as virtual services. So in order for them to get those, to establish those revenue streams, they need, of course, the physical locations, such as stores and service centers, I guess, and third-party stores, such as Best Buy and Future Shop, as well as the virtual locations, such as the iTunes Store as well as the Apple website. The next building block in the business canvas is our customer relationships. Definition that we have here is what relationship is established with each customer segment. In Apple's example, the relationship that they're trying to establish with their customers is an intimate and a supporting one. You can see this being done through their use of the Genius bars, which is a service that basically offers the Apple Geniuses that we talked about previously, setting up an appointment with the customer and then working on the products, trying to resolve a problem that they might have, as well as the consistency that they show throughout products. So the iPod that came out 2 years ago has a similar interface with the one that came out today, just sort of solidifying that customer relationship with each of their segments. The last building block of the business model is the value proposition, and this is probably the most important one. The definition we get from the textbook is the bundle of products and services that create value for each customer segment. In Apple's example is they provide the essentials to streaming music. So whether that's the hardware or the services necessary to game the music, all under one roof, as well as providing diverse ways to do so. So whether that's through an iPhone, iPod, or your computer. The next portion of the business model generation book is talking about patterns in businesses. The first pattern that we encounter in the book is unbundled businesses and bundled businesses. The definition of an unbundled business models is, taken from the textbook, states that a business that holds that there are 3 fundamentally different types of businesses: customer relationship businesses, product innovation businesses, and infrastructure businesses. What you see in front of you is an example of a bundled business. The example that we are referring to that is taken from the book is private banking. You can see in the private banking business model, there are 3 different types of businesses that fall under each building block. For example, the green is relationship businesses. So whenever you see anything written in green, that is speaking about the relationship businesses. The definition of a relationship business is a business that focuses on economies of scope, battles of scope, and it is very highly service oriented with a customer first comes mentality. Private bankings have a focus on that, but again, not a main focus on it. The product innovation businesses focus on speed, battle for talent, as well as are employee centered. So if your business is focused on new products, creating new products, or introducing new products into the market, those are 3 things that you focus on. And again, private banking has those aspects. Infrastructure management focuses, again, just like customer relationship managers, on economies of scale. Very few big players dominate it, as well as predictability and efficiency. So these are businesses that simply create a mass amount of products and sell them for a low price. Some examples, just to go off of the business campus for private banking. For relationship businesses, we've got other product providers, advice, brands. We got customer tailored wealth management. So that's, again, building a relationship with that customer. Intimate personal relationship, wealth. The next portion of the business model generation book focuses on patterns and business models. The first pattern that we analyze is the unbundled business models. The definition that we see in the textbook is that unbundled business models simply hold 3 fundamentally different types of businesses. These 3 fundamentally different types of business models are customer relationships, infrastructure businesses, and product innovation businesses. The second pattern that is seen in the business model generation book that we studied in class is the long tail model. And the long tail model definition that we get from the book is a model that is about selling less of more. What that basically means is focus on offerings a large number of niche products, each of which sells relatively. The third pattern that we encounter in the book is a multi-sided platform. Definition that we get from the book is catering to 2 or more distinct, however, interdependent customer segments. The example given in the book to learn multi-sided platforms and to understand multi-sided platforms better is the business model of Google. And the basic pattern of a multi-sided platform is that there are multiple different target value propositions that cater to different customer segments. So for example, Google's value proposition, one of them is targeted advertisements. The second value proposition is free. Third is monetizing content. The three of the distinct customer segments that Google caters to is advertisers, web surfers, content creators. Each value proposition caters to each of the different customer segments. That is the basis of a multi-sided platform. The next pattern that we analyzed in the business model generation book in class was the free as a business model. The definition that we get from the textbook is that in a free as a business model, at least one customer segment is able to continuously benefit from a service, a free of charge offer. The next pattern that we see examined in the business model book is free as a business model, and the example that goes along with the definition is the example of Flickr. So Flickr offers free basic photo sharing as well as freemium photo sharing services. The revenue streams that they earn cash from is the free limited basic accounts as well as the annual subscription professional accounts. The customer segments are the freemium portion in the business model comes from casual users as well as high volume users. The fact that the group that keeps on benefiting from a free service is what I've written in brown here, the free basic photo sharing value with the free limited basic accounts as a revenue stream and the casual users that utilize that. Premium services that actually generate a large portion of the profit would be what I've drawn here with green, which is the premium photo sharing services that comes with an annual subscription to the website that caters to the customer segments of high volume users. The last major pattern that we see in businesses that is described in the business model generation book is the bait and hook model. And the definition we gather from the book is a model that refers to a business pattern characterized by an attractive, inexpensive, or free initial offer, continuing future purchases of related products. The example that we see in the book that helps us understand bait and hook model is the one of Gillette. Their value propositions are the razor handle as well as blades. The revenue streams come from the handle purchases, which are only required to be purchased once. They don't have to be replaced. As well as the frequent razor blade purchases, which are required to be purchased obviously frequently due to their short lifespan. And they have one major customer segment. The bait in this example, the razor handle, which generates a revenue stream just from the one-time purchase of the handle. And the hook would be the frequent blade purchases that are required afterwards. Once a customer is committed to purchasing the handle, if Gillette manages to keep him as a customer, they are required to also purchase the blades. Moving on to the chapter of design, the first thing that we're introduced to in this chapter is what's called an empathy map. An empathy map is basically used to a business help go beyond the customer's demographic characteristics and develop a better understanding of environment, behavior, concerns, and aspirations of their customer segments. In short term, an empathy map is used to understand a firm's company segment to a deeper level. What an empathy map looks like, taken from the textbook, is similar to this. It has four main sections as well as two sections describing the customer segment for the bottom. The top section is talking about what the customer thinks and feels. And then above we had what, or below we have what do they hear. The opposite side we have what do they see. On the bottom, what do they say and do. Questions that should be asked to describe these four sections better is when we're talking about what does a customer segment see. Questions such as what does what they see look like, what surrounds them, and who are friends. Apologies, this is regarding what a customer sees. How do they hear? Questions such as what do her friends say, who influences her, and what media influences This is an example. As far as trying to figure out what a customer thinks and feels, questions such as importance, what is important to that customer segment, come up. Questions such as emotion, what motivates, and questions such as concerns, what are their concerns? When speaking of what a customer might say or do, questions such as what is the attitude of the consumer, what they speak about to their friends, and other similar ones. The bottom two squares speak about pains, gains of that customer segment. To figure out what the pains and gains of each customer segment is, a firm might ask what frustrations the customer might have, what obstacles exist between the custom segment and the customer's goal. And when speaking about gains, a firm tries to figure out what is needed in order for a customer to achieve the goals that he or she might have, and how do they measure that success. All this done to simply understand a firm's customer segment better. The second major topic that we encounter when going through the design chapter of the book is ideation. The definition of ideation is to come up with new or better options. You must create a bag of ideas before narrowing them down to a short list of conceivable options regarding anything, their products or services. You must create a bag of ideas before narrowing them down and narrow them down to a short list of conceivable options. The next segment in the design portion of the book speaks of the ideation process, and the process basically consists of 5 different questions. The first question asks, is our team sufficiently diverse to generate fresh business model ideas? Is team business model ideas? A very easy way to remember this question is just by thinking of the word diverse. That would be the key aspect of this process in ideation. The second question that you need to ask yourself when analyzing the ideation process is, which elements must be studied before generating business model ideas? Study before generating business model ideas. The easy way to remember this question or phase of the ideation process is just by thinking of research. This is when research and development needs to be implicated into the process. Question number 3 in the ideation process is asking, what innovations can we imagine for each business model building block? Imagine for each building block. The easiest way to remember this question or phase of the ideation process is by thinking of the keyword ideas. This is the process or the part of the ideation process where ideas are generated from the business team. Question number 4 asks, what are the most important criteria for prioritizing our business model ideas? To summarize this process of the ideation questions, of the ideation phases, would be just to think of simply elimination. Once criteria are established, you'll see some of the ideas that you've generated from question 3 start to seem like not the right way to... The fifth and final question of the ideation process asks, what does the complete business model for each shortlisted idea look like? In other words, the prototyping phase. A great way to remember this portion of the ideation process is just to think of experiments. The next portion of the design chapter in the business model generation book is visual thinking. The definition gathered from the book is using visual tools such as pictures, sketches, diagrams, and post-it notes to construct and discuss meaning. And this is of course referring to the business model, the business canvas. The 4 main reasons why the book emphasizes on visual thinking is in order to understand the essence better of a business canvas, in order to enhance the dialogue when discussing the business canvas, in order to explore ideas further and deeper, and in order to improve communications with the individuals you are discussing your business idea with. Next up, we've got prototyping. The definition taken from the book is prototyping makes abstract concepts tangible and facilitates the exploration of new ideas. The 4 main steps of prototyping are, first off, we've got a napkin sketch. In other words, the outline of the idea. This is beginning stages, very rough. Second would be an elaborated canvas, meaning constructing a business model with the canvas that was discussed previously in chapter 1. The third would be A business case, which just simply shows or proves the viability of the idea. And lastly would be the field test, where you actually investigate the success or efficiency of the idea. Visual representation of prototyping that we have in the book is as follows. Inquiry, or in other words, idea or product that a firm wishes to prototype and offer to the market would be in the middle. First step is to decide on an idea. Second, as you go through the process, design the idea. Here you've got the prototype of the idea. So after that experiment has finished, you would move on to the execution. However, if the prototype doesn't deem successful or does not yield the results that you were expecting, and simply return to the first initial stage of deciding what an idea is, designing it, prototyping it, and then execute. The process is repeated until you can move on to the execution stage. As we move through the book, we encounter a section concerning storytelling. And the definition that we gather from the book is storytelling can be used to make a difficult concept of business easier to understand. Of course, with the goal to sell to more customers and appeal to your customer segment as a business. 5 main ways that storytelling, 5 main techniques that storytelling is done in. Apologies would be talk and image, which is simply a slideshow with a presenter speaking about the images, sort of like the slideshow Jeopardy that we do in class. Video clip is used to spark imagination in the customer, where you can use the video to break from reality and into fiction. Role play, of course, refers to acting out an idea or business concept to your customer, to your audience. Text and image is a PowerPoint where you're presenting images alongside text, as well as presenting. Finally, a comic strip, you're just using simply cartoon images to convey concept or idea. Up next, right after storytelling, we encounter scenarios. And the definition of scenarios from the book is to inform the business model development process by making the design context specific and detailed. Better understand how different scenarios can come up for a business idea. The book shows a number of questions in each of the different building blocks in the business canvas. For example, regarding customer segments, the question that arises is, could this model serve all segments? Another question could be, under channels, could synergy be established, being made by serving all 3 or simply all customer segments? And then another question, such as one that falls on the revenue stream, would be, should we serve one segment for free in order to attract other high-paying segments? You can see that a lot of these questions actually lead into determining whether the business is a freemium, a long tail, or multi-based platform business. Moving on to the strategy chapter in the business model generation book, the first concept that we come across is the business model environment. The definition we get from the book is developing a good understanding of your organization's environment helps you conceive stronger, more competitive business models. The graph in the book that illustrates the 4 main types of environmental factors affecting the business model are the following. First is market forces. Second is macroeconomic forces. Third, industry forces. Fourth would be the trends in the market. An example of market forces are the following. There is market segments, needs and demands, market issues, switching costs, revenue attractiveness. Under macroeconomic forces, factors include economic infrastructure, commodities and other resources, capital markets, global market conditions. Industry forces include substitute products and services, new entrants, competitors, stakeholders, as well as suppliers and other value chain actors. The key trends include technology trends, regulatory trends, societal and cultural trends, as well as socio-economical trends. The second concept we encounter in the chapter is evaluating business models. And evaluating allows the organization to evaluate the health of its market position and adapt accordingly. When assessing a business canvas for positives and negatives of each building block, the section could be split up as follows. The value proposition section is split into 2 pieces. Top right piece outlines weaknesses. Bottom right piece would outline threats. You got it on the positive side. Top left piece would outline strengths. The bottom left piece, outline, opportunity. When classifying each threat, weakness, strength, and opportunity, a good way to think of it is these are, as I mentioned, helpful pieces of the business canvas or positives, and these are harmful pieces of the canvas. As well as on this side, we've got internal, meaning strengths and weaknesses, and external, meaning opportunities and threats. The next topic that we encounter in the chapter is looking at a business model perspective of a blue ocean strategy. Definition of a blue ocean strategy is method for questioning value proposition and business models and exploring new customer segments. So what the blue ocean strategy does with each building block of the business canvas is it does three things. It looks at what can be eliminated, what can be reduced, on the other hand, what can be raised and what can be created. So when we look at elimination, it looks at which factors you need to eliminate in order for your industry to be more efficient. And again, similarly, which factors in each building block can be reduced, as well as for raise, create. Once again, factors that can be raised above industry standard and factors that an industry lacks. That, of course, should be created. The last portion of the strategy chapter in the business model generation book is managing multiple business models. And the definition of the managing multiple business models is implementing a new business model in a long-standing enterprise can be difficult because a new model may challenge or even established models. Implementing, we'll just write the first part of that, implement. When speaking about an example that is given to us from the book about managing multiple business models, we look at Nestle's business model, or rather enterprise. Nestle caters to three different customer segments. The first is a mass market with which they target their product Nescafe. The second is a mid-tier market. And the last would be a high-end segment that is targeted by espresso. When a company gets to the point of targeting different customer segments with different products, it should get to the point where there is a business canvas separately drafted for each and every product, because it targets different customer segments, uses different channels, and has different value propositions. So this is the diagram that should be present in an enterprise's business model in order for for it to be necessary to manage multiple businesses. The last chapter of the business model generation book speaks of the process that one needs to go through in order to generate a business model. Because the chapter is so short, we're simply going to go through each of the 5 phases and give a quick description of it. Our first phase, we've got mobilize, which simply refers to preparing for a successful business model design project, create awareness, and motion. So simply referring to the preparation stages that you need to go through in order to be ready to draft your business model. Next phase is understand. Understand refers to the research and analysis elements needed. Third phase of the process, design phase, where firm tests a variety of business models and selects the best. Following design, implement phase. And I'll just use another marker here. Implement phase, which refers to putting your business model into action within your. The last phase of the process is manage, which refers to making changes to the business model as the market your firm is in changes. And that would conclude the summary of business model generation. To conclude this video, I just want to mention that the point of it was to summarize business model generation and to remind you guys that we encourage reviewing each topic that we spoke about in the video in order to get a better, deeper understanding of it. Thank you very much.